come to the board meeting tonight from the special ed summer school program. They've asked that the Flat Stanleys get to come and participate in the board meeting tonight, and that is Shannon Dale's classroom for summer school. And so we want to welcome our Flat Stanleys to the board meeting tonight. I do just want to make a statement because I've had several emails and some phone calls about the procedure tonight with the board candidates applicants. And some people still don't understand that the person chosen tonight will only be in this seat until April. And so they are here for basically 10 months, and when April gets here, they will have to run again if they would like to continue to be on the board. So that was a little confusing to some people. This position is being filled only until April, and so in December, if you want to run again, you would have to sign up to do that. So it was just a little confusing, and so we're going to call the meeting to order, and we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. .2 is welcome and introductions. We'll start with Mr. Gilman.
Randy Gilman, Assistant Superintendent, Elementary.
Tammy Cardona, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary.
April Meckel, Board Member.
Jim Shalhoub, Director.
Judy Turney, Board Secretary.
John Stewart, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Brock, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
Carol Yount, Board Member.
Michelle Chamberlain, Board Member.
Crystal Hargis, Vice President.
Nisha Patel, Superintendent.
Judy Smith, Board President. And I do want to say it is so nice not to have a mask on and not be constricted by those. 4.3, approval of the agenda for the June 15th meeting tonight.
I make a motion to approve agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 4.4, approval of meeting minutes from June 1st. I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to begin with board member candidate interviews. They will have 1 minute to introduce themselves and then 2 minutes to answer each of the questions. There are 3, and they have all drawn a number, and they're going to be coming in by their number. And Mrs. Yount will start, and she will ask all of the questions to the first candidate, Mrs. Chamberlain to the second candidate, and we will go around the table for each candidate coming in. And so we'll go ahead and we'll have candidate number 1. I believe this is Colton Krupp. Colton, I don't know if you heard what we just said. You have a minute to introduce yourself, and then there are 3 questions. Actually, number 1 has 3 questions, but it will be no surprise. You'll be all right. And you'll have 2 minutes to answer each of those other questions. So we're going to go ahead, and Ms. Hargis is going to be timing. So Colton, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Well, good evening, and thank you for having me and the other candidates tonight. And thank you to Bob again for serving this past year on the board. Well, I'm Colton Krupp. I am a 2012 graduate of Seckman High School and spent all 13 years of my education within the district, first at Rockport Heights Elementary, then at Seckman Middle School, and then Seckman High School. I have lived almost my entire life within the district, and the opportunities it has provided me is the reason why I am where I am today in life. Currently, I am a Vice President for Regulatory Relations at Citibank, with previous experience at U.S. Bank as an issues manager and with the FDIC as a bank examiner. I am also a certified public accountant. Though district finance is not my everyday job, I have learned a lot this past semester attending the district finance committee. So thank you to the board for creating that committee and to John Stewart for hosting us. Though I do not have a child of my own in the district, I do have a nephew that will be in the 6th grade at Antonia Middle School this fall. I am running because I want to ensure that he, his classmates, and all the students in the district continue to receive the best education the district can provide for them. So with that, I'll take your questions.
Better turn that on so you can hear me. Thank you for being here. What is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? And do you plan to run, there's 3 parts to this question, do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
I have applied for this seat because I believe I can provide a unique perspective for the board. I am thankful to the teachers, and former administrators that are on the board and are actually applying tonight for this seat as well. And I believe a board should be made up of mostly people with an education background. But I also believe that the board needs members with independence and a diverse background. I believe my financial background provides both the independence and expertise in an area the district is currently needing, finance. Ensuring that our students receive the best education in the coming years will require the district to effectively and efficiently manage our money. I also believe that my younger age can be a benefit to the board, providing a perspective of the younger generation of teachers and parents within the district, some of whom might not believe that they can take a seat like this that I'm willing to take because they don't have the time or the skill to do so, but I think I can be a voice for them. I do plan to run for the seat in April, and I believe that the unique perspective that I've laid out is why the district would vote for me.
Question number 2, what are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
So I think the number 1 goal for this year is getting our students back on track after what's been a very difficult year of learning. Teachers and parents have done the impossible in making it through this year, but clearly it was not an ideal learning environment. So I think the use of the ESSER III funds that have been brought up throughout prior board meetings will be a key in filling in these gaps that were lost during this year and creating a foothold for better learning experiences in the future. I also think proper management of these funds can help the district in which I think is the second priority, which is financial management. In attending the Finance Committee meetings, John Stewart has some great ideas on how to make this balance work, I think between filling in the learning loss that we've seen and for building a strong financial future. And I think the board's guidance and support will be key in making these decisions.
Last question, how would you contribute as a new board member?
I think what I've kind of laid out is that unique perspective. I think the board always gains, is a better board by having unique and diverse backgrounds, hearing from different points of view, having different experiences in life. I think my financial experience, my youth, my independence of not being a former employee of the district is really a benefit to that diverse experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Does he? I don't know if he can see us back there. Colton's going to get him. Good evening. Are you Andrew?
Yes.
All right, let us find our paperwork here. Andrew, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself and then 2 minutes to answer each of the questions. There are 3. The first question has 3 parts to it, but you'll have 2 minutes to answer each of those.
Okay.
And Mrs. Chamberlain will be asking you those questions.
Okay. Hello all. My name is Andrew Helgeson. Some of you might know me from unsuccessful attempt to run for a board seat back in 2017. I am a newer resident to the area, soon to be 4 years. We moved here really for the district. It's where I wanted my children to be. Having come from a district that had some falling numbers, I told myself that when I moved out of Illinois, that I wanted to be a part of something special, and I thought this was it. Previously served on the school board at my children's district up in Illinois, so I do have some background there. And I've been in the IT industry for 15 years, recently divorced, therefore have a little bit more free time on my hand, having my kids half the time. So that seat, I could definitely put forth a good effort on that, having some free time on myself. So it's a little bit about me. I want to thank you guys for having me here, and ask away, I guess.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, the first question is a three-part. So the question is, what is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? Do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
Yeah, so what's motivating me is I want to be involved. Like I said, I previously served on a school board. In that position, I enjoyed representing not only the people of that community and, being able to have a voice for not only myself, but for my children, really a voice for all. Wanted to make a difference for my children, and, but also have that voice and make a difference for all people in the district. Do I plan on running in April if I get this seat? Yes, I do plan. Even if I don't get the seat, I have considered it again that I have a little bit more free time on my hands. Try to do that attempt again. And what was the third part again? Sorry.
The third part is why do you think the community should vote for you?
Why the community? I'm not afraid to listen to them and have that voice and speak up and put forth those ideas and thoughts, some of those hard thoughts, hard ideas. Represent them, represent myself, and have a great district for sure.
Just to follow up on, you said you're on the school board. How long did you serve on the school board?
I had a 4-year seat, and I unfortunately left in that third year of that seat. So I didn't finish that term completely, but I was on that for 3 years.
Okay, the second question. What are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
So for that one, I think that one of the priorities is set forth some goals that the board feels should be met by the new superintendent, because obviously one of their big things that they do is obviously set forth those goals for their superintendent and make sure that they follow those goals, monitor those goals, and review those goals, and provide a direction where they want to see that district working with that superintendent. Secondly, would be working together as a whole to continue to maintain the budget and keep that fiscally responsibility that the board has towards that district.
And the last one is, how would you contribute as a new board member?
Be open, be honest, don't be afraid to step up, provide knowledge where I can. Having that previous board experience, I feel that I can bring forth some knowledge that is needed to the table and working together as a whole. How we can improve in areas that need addressing without jumping to conclusions or making those, rash decisions. Gather my opinions independently and then present my responses, for sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Are you Rick? I am. That's what I thought. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Mrs. Hargis will be asking you the questions. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself and then 2 minutes to answer each of the 3 questions she's going to ask you. And the first question has 3 parts. So
okay.
Mrs. Hargis will ask you those questions. Thank you for being here.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for your service on the board. I know it's kind of a thankless job, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and the community should as well. My name is Rick Lamborn. I've lived in Jefferson County for most of the last 23 years and in the Fox District for the last 5 years. My wife of almost 30 years, next month actually. We have 4 children and 5 grandchildren. For the last 22 years, I've been in management with Joyce Meyer Ministries, and I've learned how to manage a multi-million dollar budget, not quite as big as yours, but a very large budget, and be able to come in on budget every year. I have a passion for the United States and want to do my part to make sure the American dream is alive and well for our students. Our schools are where we pass along the true American heritage and teach our future, our students, the truth about this country and how important our Christian heritage is as we prepare them for their next chapter in their lives.
All right. Rick, the first question is, what is motivating you to apply for this position on the board? Do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
Okay, 3 parts for sure.
Yeah.
First of all, I ran this past April, unsuccessfully, unfortunately. April actually was one of the winners right here. I'm happy for her. And Jim was also the other winner. So, yes, I do plan on continue. I can't say for sure I'm going to run next year, but to stay involved for sure in the community and in the school district. But I most likely will. Actually, I shouldn't have to. I'll probably get this job right here. Where's my confidence at, right? Just I'm going to get it right here. So, I'm sorry. What was the? Why should they vote? Why should they pick me? Okay. I kind of said that in my opening that you know, the students are the future of this country, the future of our community, and we really need to prepare them for whatever they plan on doing, whether it's going just to work, going into the trades, going to college. You know, it's a job of the schools to just prepare them with the fundamentals, not indoctrinate them, but just teach them, you know, math, English, history, true American history. I believe I represent the community well. I'm different than most everyone up here, which I'm not saying you're all bad, but I think diversity in any board is healthy. Having I mean, most of you actually do have an educational background, which is good, but I think you should be open to a business background. That's where my background is. Like I said, I've managed, you know, multi-million-dollar budgets, bring them in every year. I've also been in the real estate business, so I understand construction and things like that. And really, just for fiscal responsibility, just you know, at work, you know, it's one of the main things we do. And do things with excellence and integrity.
Okay. The next question is, what are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
Post-COVID,
Oh, yeah.
get things back to normal, which I think that should be, nothing's easy, but that should be one of the top priorities. Because students are creatures of habit, they need the socialization, and you know, having them in school is just a very important place to do the learning. From this also transparency with the community, just having the board and everything be as open as possible to the community. I mean, I think you all do a good job there, but just to be open to comments. I know right now, if you do want to present something at a board meeting, it has to be relevant to the agenda. I think it should be open to whatever that person has on their heart at that moment to bring forth to you guys. And just to listen, you know, to be involved and listen to all parties. Listen to the educators, listen to the parents, listen to the students, where are the needs, and try to do our best to meet them, to ultimately provide the best education for our kids.
Okay. How would you contribute to, as a new board member?
I think just bringing in a different perspective. I bring a business background. I manage buildings, multiple buildings, not as many as you have, just 2, but I'm responsible for those. And also just to hear again, just a different perspective. You know, not from an educational background, just from, I'd call it a common sense perspective. The other thing, one of my concerns is too, and thank goodness this school district is not totally bought into the NEA agenda, but I would caution any school today, especially in a conservative area like Jefferson County, to be careful what the NEA stands for. And I would just actually encourage each and every one of you to go to the NEA edjustice.org website, and it really spells out some things that are pretty scary from myself with a Christian background. So.
All right. Okay, thank you.
But thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mrs. Hanson. We have, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then we have 3 questions. The first question has 3 parts, and you will have 2 minutes to answer each of those questions. So if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself, you have 1 minute to begin.
Okay. Is this on? Yeah, okay. Well, I decided to apply because I still want to continue to serve the district, the students, staff, families, and the community. And I think the ultimate goal is for us to create, the district to create an environment that has success for all students. And I think success is defined individually for those students. It's not necessarily the same thing. And I think as the board makes decisions, you make it based on what's best for kids, how this will affect kids, and you look at the data as far as what's being effective. I try to keep an open mind and an open heart and be impartial and make fair decisions. I think the other thing is to, since I've served on the board, I think I do have a good understanding that you never take off your board member hat. Wherever you are in the community, you're a board member, so you're representing the district, and you need to keep that in mind. And I understand the importance of maintaining confidentiality and supporting each other and administration and the superintendent, and really just supporting the district because you were elected to serve. So I want to continue to do that.
All right, I will be asking all 3 of these questions to you.
Okay.
Number 1, what is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? Do you plan to run for the board in April, and why do you believe the community should vote for you?
You mean the board vote for me?
The community.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of answered that already as far as why I'm running. I think the other thing is in all of my work, my career, whether it was as a teacher, an administrator, or after I retired as an educational consultant, I have been an advocate for students, parents, and staff, and I think that's an important piece of being on the board as well. I think that's something that needs to happen. And when I retired and formed my company, I named it Behavior Support Services for that reason. That's kind of what I do. That's what I did when I worked for the district. And the other thing that I think in applying for this position, I think I've already been trained. I understand the role, and there's 9 to 10 months to serve, and to me that seems logical. I haven't made a decision about whether or not I'm going to run in April, and I don't know if that's important to be contingent. I think if I'm understanding how it would work, there's 2 positions that anybody could run for. There's 1 position that will be for 1 year old only, and I'm not prepared to make that decision now. So.
Okay, question number 2. What are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
Actually, improving student achievement and improving finances. And you have to do that by working with the superintendent and all the stakeholders. And also this year, one of the big things that will be happening is doing CSEP and setting the goals for the district. So that's a lot of things to happen. I think with a new superintendent coming in, there needs to be time to make those decisions and evaluate what's going on and look at the data so that we can the board can work with him and the rest of administration and the community to move forward with those things.
Okay, question number 3. How would you contribute as a new board member?
Well, I'll listen. I'll ask questions to get information. I'll share my thoughts and ideas. And again, I think my vision for the district is for kids to be successful in school and in life. And so one of those things is to help them figure out what their passion is, and so they know what direction they want to go. And if there's students that are struggling, we have to help them figure out how they learn and tell them about it. That's our job. And once they figure out how they learn best, then they can learn to do that on their own. And we need to be sure that we listen and communicate with all stakeholders. We need to support staff and the community and make sure we get information from all those individuals. And that can be done a lot of different ways. It doesn't really matter how it's done as long as it is done. And I understand that the board's role is governance. It's hiring and evaluating the superintendent, determining deciding about policies, ensuring that they're implemented fairly, and remaining up to date on legislative matters and things that affect the board. And I'm really committed to being an ongoing learner in my personal life, but also as a board member. And I've done that during my time on the board. Believe it or not, I kind of enjoy going to those conferences because I always learn something. And in terms of applying for this position, I already have advanced certification. I might have to have a refresher, but I'd be ready to work in that role from the very beginning.
Thank you very much.
All righty, thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Scott.
Hi.
Come on in. You will have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then Mr. Shalhoub will be asking you 3 questions. You will have 2 minutes to answer each question. The first one has 3 parts to it, and we'll let you go ahead and begin to introduce yourself.
All right, I just want to say, you know, I retired from the school district after 25 years as a administrator, a teacher, a coach, a sponsor, and all that. And public speaking was never an issue. The only time I get issue is talking at a board meeting. So I'm a little nervous, so forgive me if I just ramble a little bit, but we'll get through that. I think being nervous is good. So yeah, my name is Todd Scott for the folks who don't know me. I'm a 42-year resident of the Arnold area, retired school district employee, 25 years as an administrator, coach, sponsor, teacher, a little bit of everything in the district. Graduate of Fox High School, class of 1987. My wife's a graduate of Fox High School, class of 1985. She probably doesn't want me to say that on the camera right now, but that's okay. I have 2 kids. They both graduated from the school district. Hannah in 2013 at Seckman High School. She's currently the POM coach down at Seckman High School. And then my son Connor graduated from Seckman High School in 2016, and he's currently an employee of CKC. So we're still very involved in the school district and looking forward to this opportunity.
Okay, Todd. This first question is a 3-part question. So I'm going to give you the first part, then the second part, and the third part, and you can answer them as you please.
Okay.
What is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? Number 1. Do you plan to run for the board in April? And number 3, why do you believe the community should vote for you?
The first part of the question is service. I believe service doesn't end at retirement. I served this community and school district for 25 years in various roles. Retired a few years ago and had an opportunity to take a step away from the school district. Currently have been working really hard on getting some health things and losing a little bit of weight and feeling a little bit better. So, but that service obligation, that service feeling of being an educator and a teacher doesn't go away. So I'm feeling a calling as a responsibility to the educational community, and I believe I have skills that I can help the Board of Education moving forward and can help the school district. Second part, am I planning on running in April? That thought has entered my mind. I had some discussions with my family about running this past April, but once again, I had to get some things feeling better about myself and working on myself a little bit, and did that, and so feeling much better. And so next April is certainly not a possibility, a stronger possibility. And the third part of it was, why should the community members vote for me?
Yeah.
Besides the time that I've spent in the district and the care and concern and love that I've had for this community and for the kids, I feel that I can serve the Board of Education in a role that they might not have right now. Certainly, you know, we've got some challenges facing us, and I think as a board, some of the things we need to be doing, and I feel that I can help do, is next year we really need to have a normal school year for our kids. So everything that we do as a board, or that the board does, should be in preparation for making sure that our parents, our students, our staff are getting back into those routines of what it's like to be in a normal school year. I think it's going to be important that we support the new superintendent coming in his transition. You know, I haven't had the opportunity to speak to Dr. Frigo, but I'm very interested in, if I'm lucky enough to serve on the board, to hear what his plans and visions and goals are for the district. But part of being a successful school district is having a successful superintendent and having a board that supports that. I also feel that a role that I can serve on the board is it's a collective decision-making body. I think one of my strengths working on a collective decision-making body is working to get consensus and having the ability to listen with the idea of understanding and not passing judgment. I think it's also to promote conversations. Some of the topics and issues that come up are hard, and you've got to have the ability to work through those issues and talk and develop a consensus on what's best for the school district. So I feel that would be another reason why the community would vote for me. And I'll have an opportunity, if I'm selected for this, to show the community that I can do those things. And if I can't, then they shouldn't vote for me. But I feel that I can do that.
Okay, next question. What are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
I kind of stole some thunder from that question, but certainly first and foremost is a normal, safe school year for our kids. You know, parents, what they want, and students, what they want, and staff, what they want is a routine. They want to be able to get back into school, and it's going to be 3 years since we've been able to do that. I worry about where our kids are at educationally. I think as a board, we've got to be able to support our staff in making sure we find out where those education losses are and figure out ways that we can support those kids so that we can get them back on grade level or back where they need to be. I also feel with that is we've got to be communicating. One of those priorities is making sure that communication is clear and present and over-communicating, because that will also help with the sense of being normal. Talking back about the transition with the new superintendent, you know, I'm very interested to hear what Dr. Vergo says and what his goals are. One of the other things that goes along with that is planning in the district, and that's the C-SIP. We've got to renew our C-SIP, and it's important to find out kind of where we're at as a district, where we're headed, and what we need to do to get forward in this district. So those are two priorities.
How would you contribute as a new board member?
Say that again.
How would you contribute as a new board member?
I think first and foremost, I'm going to be myself. You know, for the folks that know me, you know I have a sense of humor. You know that I care about this school district, that I love the students, I love the staff, I love the community. I think as a board member, I'm going to listen more than I speak. I feel that that's very important. I feel that I'm going to be a nonstop positive person. You won't find a more positive person about this school district or what we do. I'm going to use my experience and knowledge of the district and education to support where we're going to help our district move forward. I feel that my experience also is going to allow me to not need much to get up to speed as a board member. You know, I think I know what a board member is and a board member does, but you know, I've got experience in dealing with the board. I got experience in being nervous speaking in front of the board. So, you know, I also feel that as a board member, I'm going to listen and include all opinions. I feel that we need to make sure that we're listening, and I can't emphasize that enough. I'm going to continue to promote the school district as best as I can, promote the community, and once again, I'm going to be myself.
Thank you very much. What did he say? Here comes Colleen.
Welcome, Dr. Cole. We're finding your papers. I lost mine. We have 3 questions we're going to ask you. We're going to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then April Meckel will be asking you all 3 of the questions. The first question has 3 parts, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer each of the 3. The first one's got 3 parts, though.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and let you begin by introducing yourself.
Okay. I'm Dr. Colleen Cole, and I'm a retired principal in Fox School District, 27 years. And I am also a graduate of Fox High School, as well as my 2 children. They both are in college. One's a junior at SLU, and my son is a senior at Fonfon. And I have a lot of knowledge with my years of experience with curriculum and with budgets, teacher evaluations, and especially I've been a lifelong Jefferson Countyan, and so I know the community well and look forward to serve the community.
Okay. What is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? Do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
What motivated me to apply is my passion and loyalty for the district. This has been my home for as long as I can remember, and I always want what's best for this district, and this district is family, and so I feel like I need to come and represent family and help the community, the staff, and the students. So that's what motivated me to apply for the board position. And I am willing to look at running in April if it becomes a good fit for myself and for my family. We've had some life changes the last 2 years, and so I want to make sure that it would work well for our family. So, but I do feel like they should vote for me because I do have a great passion for this district, almost as much as Mr. Shalhoub.
What are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
The first one I would definitely say is assisting the new superintendent, given the information and resources so that they can be successful. And then the other would be the fiscal responsibility. I know there's major budget issues with COVID situation and with state funding, and so I'm very concerned about the instructional budgets for each building and how we can help make sure the resources are getting to the students.
And how would you contribute as a new board member?
I would contribute, I have a wealth of knowledge from being in education for 27 years, not only with staff and students, but with curriculum, with budgets, with facilities, special education, the whole gamut, and I feel like I could really give that information and help any situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Osha. We're going to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then we have 3 questions for you. You have 2 minutes to answer the 3 questions, and the first question, though, has 3 parts to it. And Mrs. Yant will be asking you all of the questions, so you may begin by introducing yourself.
Alrighty, as she said, my name is Jim Osha. Most of you know I've run before. Married, got my daughter who actually wanted to come with and see this, so I'm kind of glad she did. As you can see on my shirt, I'm part of the University of Missouri Extension Council, so I do have experience as far as being on a board or some kind of council. Do look over taxpayer money, so I do have experience that way too. I'm also on their audit and budget committee, and let me just say, John, I don't envy you. So that's pretty much it. You know, I've lived in the district for about 10 years now, northern Jefferson County for over 20, so I know the area pretty well. So
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Carol.
What is your motive? There's 3 parts to this question, and I'll read them all, and then we'll go back to the original question in the beginning. What is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? Do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you? So if you want to answer the first part first,
Well, what's motivated me is obviously I'm a kid at heart, and, you know, our kids are our future, you know, no matter what age we're at. So I want to be a part of our future leaders, our future doctors, tradesmen, whatever, you know, and feel that I can help in many ways.
Do you plan to run for the board in April?
The fact that I've run 4 times unsuccessfully, I'm not going to say right now if I am or not. You know, it's a huge undertask, as all of you know. It's a lot of hours. So as of right now, I'm 50-50, to be honest with you. So, and if I do run, why should people vote for me? It's like I said before, I'm open, maybe sometimes too blunt when I'm open and honest with people, but and I know that was one of the questions that you guys asked. You know, that's something I'm trying to work on as I get older, you know, trying to pull back and use a little more tact. But the reason being is, you know, you don't have to worry about me if I'm sitting in one of those seats. No matter what, you're going to get an honest vote. You're going to get an honest opinion, whether I agree with something or I don't.
And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
I just actually answered that. Like I said, you know, I'm open, honest. I'm going to be available. I know I put on my application 90 hours, and I know probably if you saw that, you're wondering why. My work schedule actually is going to change back to weekends, so I'm going to have Monday through Thursday again open, so I'm going to have a lot of time. Hopefully I don't get in trouble in that time. But, so, you know, I'm available, I'm personable, you know, I know different facets of this community, so I mean, I'm not going to do people wrong.
And question number 2, what are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
Well, number 1, and it was been said in the campaigns of people, keeping an eye on Prop P money, making sure we're not only keeping on budget, but spending the money where people were told we were spending it, and letting people, making that as transparent to people as can be. And I know it's not as easy just throwing it up on the website, but some way that people can track it almost in real time. The other thing is definitely making sure our fund balances stay on an uptick. You know, we're spending money that gets value, that gets what is absolutely needed, and not so much what would appear to be a want.
And the last question, how would you contribute as a new board member?
Well, with my years in manufacturing and logistics in manufacturing, I think I can bring a skill set that is problem solving. You know, you got to get product to a customer. Our product obviously is educating kids, so how do we best get our kids educated? How do we get them to the schools? How do we if we still do virtual in years ahead, as an example, how do we better that to people or to the kids and get it to those that are on the outskirts that don't have great internet reception? I listen to people, I talk to people, and as I've said before, I know people in different facets of education throughout the country, so I can talk to people all the way in Hawaii to Vegas to Florida, Texas, and get what they're doing down there. Not saying what they're doing is right, but maybe bounce something off of them.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Littner. You will have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then we have 3 questions, and you will have 2 minutes to answer each of those questions. Mrs. Chamberlain is going to ask you all of the questions, and the first question has 3 parts to it, and you may go ahead and begin to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Let's see, you guys all save the best for last. I'm joking. I appreciate that. My name is Travis Littner. As some of you may know, I'm 37 years old. I have a wife who I'm happily married to and 2 children currently enrolled in the district. We're both Fox alumni. I've lived here my whole life, graduated from Fox High School back in '02. That's pretty much it as far as an introduction.
Okay, so the first question has 3 parts. So Travis, the first one is, what is motivating you to apply for this position on the Board of Education? And do you plan to run for the board in April? And why do you believe the community should vote for you?
As far as an interest in the position, I'm at the point in life where I realize the benefit and the need for giving back to the community and to be a service to the public. I've kind of started paying more and more attention to politics, and the notion of being a representative of the people in the community piqued my interest. Obviously, having kids invested in the district, I'm directly invested with the ongoings of the affairs here. So that's kind of the push. And oddly enough, too, it's one of those things that I've really just been feeling an internal push that I should do. Which in a lot of those situations, it's a step outside of your comfort zone. It's stepping into something you don't know, that you may be afraid of, you may feel overwhelmed, but you feel like it's the right thing to do. And, that feeling has been reaffirmed through the process of campaigning. I learned a lot, during the initial run. And, just the way my family looks at me and my kids are, so proud of what I'm doing. I love the message that it sends to them as far as, stepping out on a limb and speaking your mind, instead of sitting on the sidelines, and trying to coach, and have an opinion. I'm a firm believer of getting in the game. So as far as why people should vote for me, I'm another voice for the parental community. This is not a knock towards the board, but, the fact of the matter is that most of you guys, come from a history in education, whether in the past or current educators. And I think that's a great thing, because at the forefront of that focus has obviously been our kids and our community, and you guys care enough about that to dedicate a lifetime to it, and that's amazing. But what it leaves out is a difference of opinion. Having strictly educators on a board leads to a potential bubble in the way of thought, without much outside perspective of what the parents are dealing with, directly. And some of you are parents as well, and I know that, you face those own hardships yourselves, but let's face it, times change. Being a parent now and today is a little bit different than being a parent 20 years ago, with some of the things that, our kids have potential for exposure to. So why the community should vote, I think I would add more diversity to the board, which I think is important for a body of people that are making collective decisions together, that the community is represented as a whole as opposed to just one facet of that community, because our whole community, let's face it, they're not all educators.
Thank you. Okay. Question 2, what are the top 1 or 2 priorities that you see for the Board of Education for this upcoming school year?
I think there's one main target, but 2 areas of concern, that being the kids. You know, both emotionally and educationally, they were put through a bit of trauma last year. You know, some kids did all right, you know, but some kids are always going to do all right regardless of the circumstances. Some kids did not. We're going to have to give the staff the support they need to buckle down and getting the children up to speed where they should be on their educational path. You know, first and foremost, it's one of the questions I was asked is, what do we do about this year of education that the children lost? And once again, that's not all kids. Some kids did terrific with it, you know, without skipping a beat. My household, admittingly, you know, we kind of come from both sides of that background. My daughter, who was in kindergarten for her first year this year, you know, ended the year with the opportunity to be tested into the gifted or REACH program. My son, who was in junior high, started off in hybrid, was a little bit worried about going back to school in person, and he did his, you know, second semester online and failed probably at least 3 of his classes. So, you know, we're on both sides of that spectrum. My daughter didn't skip a beat, you know, and my son is going to have some catching up to do. But I think that's crucial that we, you know, address those issues, whether that be through interventions, you know, added teachers' aides, but we really need to focus on the kids and getting things up to a par of normal next year, or as close to normal as possible. I also think that the board is, you know, as far as tougher issues to make decisions on, I do think that, you know, I applaud the notion of the optional masking that was just recently implemented. I think it was very wise to do that during summer school. I'm not sure how that's going at this point, but I think that it was wise to do it on a smaller scale so we have a better scope of what to expect with the new school year. You know, that way we're not trying to flail around and figure out how many kids we're going to have coming in, how many kids we're going to go hybrid. You know, what do we do about, you know, masking situations where kids aren't wearing masks, these kids are wearing masks, you know, are they being made fun of? I think that's something that we have to keep a lookout for as well. You know, it becoming a tactic used for bullying, regardless of what side of the spectrum people fall on. I think that the individual's right to choose to protect themselves or not protect themselves is the individual's right. And lastly, I don't see it as a major concern, but a big thing that's going to be taking place next year is obviously a smooth transition to our new superintendent. I'm hopeful that that will blossom into a wonderful working relationship for years to come.
Okay, and the third question is, how would you contribute as a new board member?
I'd be present at the meetings, obviously, but as far as different things I bring, I'm a logical thinker. Deductive reasoning is one of the skill sets I have. You know, if things don't add up altogether, something doesn't make sense somewhere, you know, I like to ask the questions and find out. But, you know, I would make myself available, you know, to the public and to the other board members and anybody that needs to reach out, you know, make myself as available as possible, whether that's answering emails, consulting with other board members, you know, which I think is important to do before jumping out on a limb and putting a message out to the public. And yeah, so just be as present as possible and hopefully, you know, help in communication, you know. I think communication is key, you know, and I think that a lot of the breakdown in communication often happens in the listening side of things. You know, sometimes people aren't listening to what you're saying necessarily because they're already preparing their response before you finish what you're saying. A lot of times I see people talking past each other where they may be getting at the exact same notion, you know, but they just don't see that they're trying to say the same thing differently. I'm usually quick to call that out, you know, not accusationally, but hey, you guys realize we're arguing about the same thing here, you know. So hopefully a sense of togetherness, you know, I would like to bring to the board, you know, and just a different perspective as far as thinking. Like I said, a direct parental perspective. Yeah, I've heard members of the board say before that the only issues that are really brought to them are issues that are brought to them by the administration. I've got a little bit more of a direct line, you know, since my kids are in school every day, you know, and we have communications with their teachers and their principals and so on and so on. That being said, I don't think every situation needs to have a knee-jerk reaction. I'm very calculated in my response, and I understand that, you know, some things are worth noting more than others. So.
Actually, Travis, on question number 1, I didn't get it, I don't think you said or answered it. Did you plan to run for the board in April?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Am I done? Sweet.
Let everybody think about their comments they've written down for a couple seconds, and we'll have a discussion.
Ms. Smith?
Mrs. Yunt.
I'm going to make a motion, but before I do, I think it's great that we have so many candidates here tonight that want to work with the school district on the school board. When I was elected to the board 5 years ago, I had no idea of the responsibility and how difficult and how little I knew about school financing, school achievement, CSEP. It was just such a learning experience for me and a rewarding experience. And I think all of you here tonight, any of you, would be a great asset to this board. I think all of you have your heart in the right place. I loved your answers. So I certainly invite you to run in April, either for this seat to finish Bob Grunwald's term or for other seats that are going to be available. So that being said, one of the things that, I'm sorry.
You're going to make a motion before we even have a conversation about this?
Well, you can have a are you ready for a motion? Are you?
I thought we had to have a conversation about this.
We're just following through. I don't know. Yeah, we can.
I think we should, like, talk, share with each other what we think about the candidates instead of, like, immediately, because I think our community wants to hear what we think as a board, so.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll go first. I also appreciate everyone that came out. I think that, what I noticed is, there are parents, there's Colton, who is on the finance committee, who has that financial background that Bob had, and Andrew, who was a former board member, and he has kids in the district, so you bring different diversity. You too, Colton. Vicki has been on the board, and she has the experience, and then Colleen, she's been a former administrator, same with Vicki, and then Todd Scott, former administrator, and then Jim, who's been a true champion for our district. You're at everything and a true supporter. And then also Travis, I've seen you at the back of the board meeting for the longest time, and so has Rick. So they're all great candidates. I think that several of them have brought up the point that there are, we're all, every single one of them have an education and all of us, besides Rachel and I, are former employees. So I'm thinking for a more diverse as well. So I think that I would like to support somebody
Anyone else want to say anything? Oh, I'm just asking, is there anybody else that would like to say anything?
As this past election, we had really outstanding candidates running, and I feel very good about the fact that we have the quality and the caliber of people that are interested in serving on the Board of Education. First of all, bringing diversity to the board is important, and many of us have done things besides just public school education too. And so some of us have brought some other additional perspective to the board. I think one of the things that's important is that this is a very short term. It's about 10 months, 9 months that they're going to serve before they're off. Now, going back about 4 years, 3 years ago, I guess, 4 years maybe, we had a very similar situation occur. And it was a situation where we had an incumbent who did not get reelected, and then immediately following that, we had a person resign. And so the question came up at that time, since there is a learning curve when getting on the school board, who would be the best to serve in that? And the person that was the incumbent that didn't get reelected agreed to go ahead and apply, and he was selected because of that learning curve. And I think we got to really take that into consideration. And so I believe that that's an important thing. And you know, educators, one of the things I think it's important for us to understand, folks, is that even prior to the COVID, our student achievement has declined significantly. And all these people that are on the board now that are educators weren't on the board when this decline took place. And so if we put the interest of our kids first, and their learning should be absolutely the highest priority, having people on the board that have some background in education is not such a bad idea. And so I think that you need to keep those things in mind. That's all I'm going to say. You go ahead.
Well, that is true. What you say is true, but there are 4 people that represent former employees and educators of this district. And I have the utmost respect for all of the former employees of the district because they've educated our children. But the school board represents the community as a whole. And so therefore, I too believe that it should be more diverse and not have another former employee. Maybe someone with a finance background to take Bob's position. And, you know, we will be nominating a treasurer as well tonight. So those are some thoughts there.
No, go ahead.
Does anybody have any comments on anything else? Okay, I would like to make it, oh, Judy, did you want to? Okay, go ahead, Judy.
I was just going to say that I was on a Zoom meeting for board members all over the state of Missouri about 2 months ago, and I found it really, everybody talks about diversity, 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 and I think it is important to be diverse, and I think every individual that brings anything to the board is diverse. I think they are. And we have 3 more former employees sitting here. And as these people from all over the state began to talk about their boards, one of the things they said was, when they find out somebody is not going to run for the board the next time and that they are going to have an open seat, that they begin to immediately look for somebody with an educational background again. And I was really surprised by that because through the last 2 elections, we've heard diversity, diversity, diversity. And I do think that, like I said, each person that is elected is a diverse person. They come with different skill sets and different information and different things that they know. And so as I was listening to all of these members of boards, they basically said that they build their boards around education. And so I began to think about that, and I really decided that, you know, it is good to have other people on the board, but when I listened to these other people from around the state, that's what they all said, that they began to look for people with educational backgrounds. And you know, when I got on the board, one of my things was really phonics. And you know, you can't have an agenda as a board member because nothing happens quickly. It's a very slow process. You can't just get on and say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Any decision that's made, and I know as April made it onto the board this year, she said, you know, several times, wow, I had no idea all that's involved in doing this. And I think as each one of us got on the board, we had the same feeling. Wow, this is not as easy as I thought it was, just representing the community. And so in thinking about all of this, I too agree that every one of these people that are applying tonight are highly qualified candidates. But I will just go ahead and say again that as I listen to the people around the state, the Board of Education's, one of them was actually the president of the board from Clayton, where Dr. Patel is going, and he was a presenter. And I truly was shocked at how they look for people to put on their board that will have the knowledge of how a classroom is run, how curriculum is chosen, what students need to be successful. And not to say that other people don't know that, and I would love to see Colton Krupp on the board. Any of these people that have financial experience, we do need some financial experience, but the only thing I'm really wanting to say is I don't think that it's bad to have educators on the school board. And so, anyway, that's just all I was going to say about that. So, if anybody else has anything to say, floor is open.
Are you going to say anything? Okay, then if
Carol, did you finish?
Isn't going to say anything, then I would like to make a motion that we, I guess, what do we want to say? Have Colton Krupp as our next board member.
So we'll have a roll call vote. Is there any other discussion? Would anybody like to say anything? Okay.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for applying for this position, because after this year, I was really worried that we wouldn't have very many people, maybe one or two people apply. So I applaud all of you for applying. You are all excellent candidates for this job. And this is really hard to do, where everybody can hear what's going on and all of our opinions, and I feel this is a difficult thing to sit through up here, because now we're going to have to take a vote, and it may not go the way that some people may think it goes, and it's going to be hard. Because I know Colton. He's a former student. I know Todd for many, many years. I know Colleen for many years. I've known Vicki for many years. And and I got to know Jim at the last election. I haven't had the opportunity to meet Travis and get to know him, but I know he went to school with my daughters. So, and Rick, I haven't had an opportunity to meet with you yet, and Andrew, you. But this is going to be hard to do. And I want to make sure that we are all, I feel like we've had an opportunity to discuss this. And I feel like we're under the gun here, for lack of a better words, to make this decision tonight. Maybe we need more time to have a discussion. I know I made the motion that we would decide tonight, and I made that motion because I really didn't think we'd have that many people apply for this position. Maybe we need to have a special meeting.
I think we're good, and I think
You
we
think
just
we're
need
good?
to. I think we need to just go ahead and vote.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're good. I think we need
All
to go
right.
ahead and vote. So it'll be a roll call vote. Oh, sorry. Would you please make your motion again?
I don't know if I'm saying this
Krupp.
proper. So, what is it? Oh, I said Krupp, sorry. Colton, I would like to nominate Colton Krupp as the next Fox board member. And I want all of you who are out there who have applied, I know all of you, and you've either worked with my children or my niece and nephew, and this is absolutely nothing personal. I couldn't love this district more, and you guys all know that. You should know this. But I nominate Colton Krupp.
I'll second it. Yes.
Yes.
No.
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 I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, so that was 3-3.
Okay, so now we're at a tie. So what I recommend is that we call a special meeting and that we have a discussion time for that.
Okay, does somebody have another, I mean, if somebody wants to make another motion?
I think she just.
I would like to move that we nominate Vicki Hansen.
I second, and I'd like to explain why, if I have a minute. No, absolutely, Colton would be a great asset to this board. He has exactly what we need in this district. The reason that I feel that we should put Vicki Hansen on the board at this time are twofold. The last election, she was the next highest vote getter, right, just barely in front of Colton, but a little bit up there. So the community supported her in the last election. The second thing is, we're looking at 10 months. And Vicki served on this board for 3 years. So she's familiar with where we're going, she's familiar with the obstacles that we have put in front of us, and she's familiar with what we are looking forward to for right now. Now, is that to say next April that she will run? I don't know. But my point is, it would be beneficial at this time to put Mrs. Hansen back on the board.
Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, so that's Shalou made the motion and Ms. Carroll seconded it. Okay, roll call vote. Chamberlain?
No.
Shalou?
Yes, all things being equal, and with all these candidates out there, I think it's pretty much equal. But keeping in consideration that for 8 months, and I can tell you, most people that get on a school board, it takes them at least 8 months to kind of get up to speed on exactly how things work. In light of what previous boards have done relative to filling this position using someone who had already served on the board, I would vote yes.
Yeah? Hargis?
Yes.
Meckel?
No.
And Smith?
Yes.
Okay, that's 4-2. So that passed.
Okay, we will have the swearing in at this time with Dr. Patel. We do want to thank those of you who applied again, and we do hope that you'll run, and we'll move on.
That I am at least 24 years of age,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Let's do the treasurer and then the.
Yeah, we're going to do that first, and then yes. Okay. 5.4, we need to appoint a district treasurer for the district. I need a motion or a nomination for that.
I nominate Carol Yant.
Okay, would anybody like to nominate anyone else? Carol, are you willing to do that?
Yes, I will. And I just want to mention this because maybe not everyone knows the treasurer does not have to be a board member. So it doesn't have to be anyone on the board. It can be if somebody wants to nominate someone other than me. And this is for 1 year, so since you don't have to be a board member, the term would be up July 15th, and I can serve until that time.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to nominate someone for treasurer? Okay, then we're going to go with that by acclamation. Is that okay? Okay, and so I move that we close the nominations to elect Carol as the treasurer. All of those in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. I make a motion that we take a break for 5 minutes, and then we will resume our meeting at that time. All in favor?
I'm leaving Friday, but I can come by Tuesday or something. I mean Thursday. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Oh, I can come in. I can come tomorrow if you need me to.
Well, the bank's gonna file.
Oh, okay.
And some of it, so I left a packet of
Yeah, I see.
paperwork in there. So those are the forms for the new bank. Those will come electronically
Okay.
to your Fox email address.
Okay.
And they'll come in the order they need to come for signature, and you just sign
say
them.
okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. And John? I think at one point, the CFO was also the treasurer of the board, and that's pretty typical, isn't it?
It is not uncommon. It's probably not the best practice.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because it didn't matter to me. I mean, I don't care if I'm a treasurer. I mean, I don't care what I am, but.
It's not uncommon, but it's better to have those duties segregated.
And is it better to have someone on the board? You think so? Okay. Because that's what I wanted to be clear, that it doesn't have to be a board member, it can be anybody, just like our secretary, she could have been the treasurer also. So.
Yep.
How are you?
Doing all right.
Good, good.
Yes. It's so much easier to sit out there than it is to sit up here.
You're right. Hey, Tara, I noticed you were sitting out there a while ago. Sunday, there is a car show at Kemswick.
Oh.
Are you able to take some brochures down there?
Yes, I believe I will be able to do that.
Wow.
Fred's having oral surgery on Thursday, but by
okay.
Sunday, yeah.
Wally has several copies made. If you can go by his office and pick them up and do that Sunday, because there's a
And
lot.
Patty gave me some.
Did
I've
you?
got
Okay.
a little stack.
Okay. Well, the ones that Wally has now has the classes on the back of it, which is a little.
Oh, so it's new and improved?
Yeah, and so I think it's, if you get a chance to go by there.
Okay.
And Vicki said she might be able to, but if you can for sure,
Well,
then
I'll
I'm going to
connect with Vicki
and tell her
and
you're
we'll
going to.
see.
That
Yeah.
would be great if you can do that.
Sure.
Because that's usually a pretty big show down there. So we'll get some, we went, Saturday night we went to one and we passed out about, I think 40 or something like that. but,
Yeah,
you know,
I
we
need
get
to
different
do my
people.
part, 'cause I haven't
Absolutely.
been
What have you
doing
been doing
things.
anyway?
Yeah, only been in school, but yeah, I want to
That would be
participate.
great. And Kimmswick would be easy.
Sure.
And it's right there on the, if that's where it was before, it's right on the main street and they're all parked right there.
Yeah, they
so-
probably do it right there,
Yeah,
kind of on
they
that
do,
quad,
on that,
so
where
to
that,
speak.
that
Yeah.
vacant lot is where it was before. So I hope it's not so hot that people don't come, but,
Maybe it will have cooled off a little bit.
yeah. So
But
that would be good if you can.
Even so, I don't mind.
Okay, that would be
It's just
great.
for a short time.
Yeah,
so.
okay. Yeah, let Vicki know you're going to so that, so she don't, she said I might be able to and I might not, I'm not sure, so.
Sure, and if there's a time that's better for her, if she
Sure.
can go, we'll go.
Or the two of you,
go
or
then.
whatever. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
I'm Tara, pastoral butler. We've met over the phone, talked a little bit, retiree, working back in the district part-time. Okay. But, well, thank you. I've enjoyed doing that. It's
She's
very
really not
cool.
retired, she just thinks she is.
Familiar. You look familiar. What's your name? Tara, pastoral Boggs.
You have that familiar face.
Oh, okay. I hope it's a positive.
It is, it's very good, very good. You're looking
It's always a
cute.
smiley face.
Yes, that's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very true. Once you retire, you still have to get
You
your
never
kids
really are
fixed,
retired.
You know? Yeah. I just wanted to say.
They got him off the bus, but it was lost before I was there.
Okay, welcome, Mrs. Hanson. We may have to do some seat shuffling so that Mrs. Yant can move back over here. She liked that seat, and so next time we may swap you out and let Mrs. Yant have this seat back over here, and so we may do a little shuffling next meeting. I'm calling us back to order, yes. We are at 6.1, Superintendent Comments. Dr. Patel.
Okay. I typically don't read to an audience. I save that for certain days and certain events. So today I did type some stuff out, so I am going to read. And the reason I'm reading is because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I appreciate your patience in advance for those of you watching at home and those of you sitting in the audience. So here we go. On January 29th, 2019, in this very room, I spoke to each of you for the first time as your superintendent. I recall specifically, amongst other things, I had said this to you that evening, and I quote, "Looking ahead, the road before us will wind up high peaks, and there will be moments of magnificence, and there will also be moments that will test us, that will require us to have faith, trust in one another, and be courageous beyond belief. And we will do just that because that's just what Fox C-6 community does. We come together because we change the world." And I end quote. On that evening, little did we know how the next 2 years would test each of us in more ways than we could ever have imagined. However, the moments of magnificence we must always remember, which include the passing of the largest bond issue in the history of Fox C-6, and might I add, in the middle of a global pandemic. And so, as I look back, it is hard to believe tonight is my last board meeting as your superintendent, and it seems just like yesterday I was in this very room filled with sheer joy and excitement. Tonight, with an extremely heavy and grateful heart, I read to you my final superintendent's comments. I want to first and foremost start off by thanking every single staff member. You are some of the most dedicated individuals I know. You work hard every single day and care about our kids like no other. You wake up each morning wanting to make a difference in the lives of others and do so selflessly. It doesn't matter what role you are in, whether you're a bus driver that come rain, sleet, or snow, are the first staff member that our students see and who set the tone for the day, a custodian or maintenance worker who makes sure our buildings and facilities are ready for our students and staff, a food service worker who makes sure our kids have nutritious meals, a nurse who helps us heal our students, an administrative assistant who makes sure we can do our job the best way we can, our tech department that believes in putting the best technology in our students' hands, but for the purpose of elevating learning, a teacher who embeds the love of learning into our students, or an administrator who makes sure they always lead by example. No matter what hat you wear in Fox C-6, building strong relationships is the foundation of all that you do, and you truly define what it means to be Fox C-6 strong. To our parents, words simply are not enough for me to be able to thank you for your love, dedication, and support. Many of you know my own parents moved continents for me to be able to have a good education, and because of them, I am able to make a small difference in the lives of others, and that is what I wanted for all of your children, whom I have always considered to be my children. Continue to expect nothing but the best for our children, and express your desire to want our children to find their purpose in life through a high-quality education that is focused on relationships, college career readiness, and excellence. You should always want and expect the very best. Each of you are the reason we are able to do what we do in our professional careers, and that is something I carry each day with me and thank you eternally for. Finally, to the Josiahs of Fox C-6, the Kiras of Fox C-6, and the Landons of Fox C-6, our past, our present, and our future. To our students, keep believing in yourselves like I believe in you. Keep amplifying your voice in and out of the classroom, and push each of us to be our best because we not only work for you, but we are better each day because of you. Your future is brighter than you can possibly imagine, and nothing and no one can stop you from achieving your dreams. Always know that the superintendent believes in you, loves you, and will always be your biggest fan. So in closing, I ask our Fox C-6 community to keep this question at the forefront. How are the children? And the answer to that question will help guide every decision that you make. Thank you for allowing me the utmost honor of being your superintendent. Thank you.
(6.2) Board Member and Cabinet Reports. Mr. Gilman.
All right, tomorrow is our halfway point of summer school, and it's going well in general and related to COVID as well. We've only had like one quarantine situation that was at ESY. So far, knock on wood, I don't think this is wood, we've had 0 issues at our K-8. So that's good news, and we're almost at the halfway mark. We had our PLC Institute today, part 1. It was via Zoom. I want to thank Robin Green for all the preparation that she did to make that happen. Every building leadership team participated in that, and some of them after teaching summer school today. So appreciate all of those team members. And finally, Dr. Patel, last board meeting. Thank you for everything. I wish you nothing but the best in your new district, and Clayton is very lucky to have you. So thank you so much.
So as Randy said, tomorrow actually marks the halfway mark for summer school. And I checked today, we have 39 students that elected to take the continuous improvement courses. We're monitoring that to see how that goes. This is the first time that we've tried that. So students, for the first time ever, because of the impact of COVID, were able to retake a class in its entirety and hopefully get a better grade so that it'll impact their GPA. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And as you know, we are going to continue to move forward with Canvas. So I'm excited just to see that for our kids. And then Dr. Patel, thank you for all you've done for our district, and good luck. Hopefully this isn't goodbye, but good luck.
Well, I just want to say it's great to see everyone's face entirely. So you'll have to reintroduce yourselves if I've met you already, because this half of the face matters. Second, Ms. Hanson, welcome back. And last, I am terrible with goodbyes. I went to 3 different high schools, so it's very easy for me to say goodbye, but I'm just going to say see you later, and we'll stay in touch. You ask how the children are. Well, my 4 children are better because of you.
Congratulations, Vicki, or my condolences. I'm not sure exactly what the best thing is. Dr. Patel, you served us for 2 years. A year and a half in that 2 years was probably the most difficult time in education, maybe in the history of the country. And I've mentioned this before, but I can't imagine anyone having to serve as a superintendent during that time. You did an extraordinary job. You made it work for the students, and you made it work for the community. Not everybody agreed all the time, but the truth is, I believe you did exactly what was best for our kids, and I deeply appreciate that. And you're going to be missed in our community. I know that for sure. And Clayton is lucky. And I'm going to be careful about what I say about Clayton because I'll get in trouble for that. But the truth is, they're going to be lucky, and they'll enjoy having you there. And I know that you'll do a great job. And best wishes from this point forward. I think you got a great future in Missouri public education, that's for sure. And that's all I've got to say.
I just want to say thank you for choosing to have me serve again, and I want to assure everybody that I will work as hard as I usually do with anything. I don't do too many things halfway, so sometimes I can be a little bit of a pain because of that, but that's just kind of how I am. And Dr. Patel, I think serving as a board president during the pandemic with you, we both knew there were times that we couldn't make anybody happy. So it was a difficult year, but we got through it, and we always talked honestly with each other, and I appreciate that. I think, I don't know if you learned anything from me, but I learned from you. So I wish you the best in Clayton, too.
Quick update on projects at Antonia Elementary and Merrimack Heights Elementary. So the bidding documents, and this is for the addition portions coming up. So the bidding documents were available to contractors on May 13th, and the pre-bid meeting was held on May 18th. Contractors visited each site for walkthrough on June the 2nd. The bid is currently scheduled for July the 1st, and that'll permit process, the permitting process is ongoing. With the bid scheduled for July 1st, we should have that for the July 20th meeting for your approval. The design team members continue to meet with regularly with Scott and myself, as well as building principals. And then specifically for the work going on at Antonia Elementary this summer, the renovation work, this includes HVAC and lighting upgrades and portions of the existing building. So IFS, who is the contractor, is on schedule. They are currently completing demolition and beginning the electrical and piping installations, as well as the RTU curb installation up on the roof. HVAC equipment delivery is confirmed for early July, and they applied for Ameren energy efficiency rebates, and they have been approved, so we will be receiving those. And then I would like to just say we've only worked together for 15 months, and that was the shortest 15 months, and yet the longest 15 months of my life because of the pandemic. But I thoroughly enjoyed working with and for you, Nisha, and I wish you the best.
Dr. Patel, I just wanted to thank you. It has just been an honor and a pleasure working with you for the last however many, 5 years, I think. You always do everything with the utmost care and integrity, and you've been a great example to all of us.
Dr. Patel, I want to thank you for your support and working with me when I was board president. I think we were both in something very new at that time, and I think we worked well together, and I appreciate your efforts and your help in doing that while I was serving that year. We're going to miss you, and I wish you all the luck in the world. They're very lucky to have you as their superintendent.
I just want to say that good to hear that there hasn't been an increase in COVID cases because the mask came off. I know we were really concerned about that, so that's wonderful to hear. I did stop at McDonald's on my way here, and I met a young man who was also doing the Fox program and said that he was doing well. I'm like, I wanted to talk to him more, but I had a line, so he kind of shushed me on my way. But that's really nice whenever I can say, hey, how's it going? He's like, it's good, it's easy. I'm like, good, do good. Vicki, welcome to the board, and we'll work well together, okay? And no hard feelings, I hope. Okay. Right. And Dr. Patel, we are all so much better for having you in our life and being the role model that you are, and no one's going to be able to replace you, but you have put in all of us something in our hearts that we will always have, and just thank you.
Dr. Patel, I'd like to thank you for your years of service here and your dedication to our students. We really appreciate that, and I wish you all the best of luck. So Clayton's very lucky to have you.
I too am thrilled that we're not having more COVID cases, and I'm happy that everybody's able to not be wearing masks anymore, and I think we can move forward, hopefully, with that. I want to say thank you, Dr. Patel. I love your saying, how are the children? And that truly is what every person ought to consider. Every day, every moment That's why we're here. No matter who's on the board, that should be our concern all the time. How are the children? And I think moving forward, that's what we've got to keep our mind on. And as Dr. Patel goes on to move to Clayton, she's going to check on the children. How are the children? And as Dr. Frigo comes, I'm sure that he will put forefront in his mind, how are the children? When you're an educator, it's a calling, and you're always checking on the children. And that's just been a really good motto. So we're going to move on, and Dr. Gilman, we have patrons' comments.
Yes, we have 3 comments this evening. I'd like to remind our speakers that problems involving a particular identifiable employee and or students are reserved for executive session. A 3-minute time period will be allowed per speaker. A warning will be given after 2.5 minutes. The Vice President of the Board will be the timekeeper. And first up this evening, we have Elizabeth Emmons.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Emmons, and I am currently going to be a senior at Fox High School. Today, I am here to propose an idea for the school schedule for the 2021-2022 school year. While COVID may have brought a lot of negatives to the school system, I think we can look at one positive, and it was the 4-day week with a Wednesday off. This new program going forth in a schedule can not only benefit the school district financially, but it can also benefit it educationally and mentally. On a financial standpoint, it can save the district lots of money. A school district in Jacksonville, Florida, the Duval County School District, actually started this new program and reduced their budget by $7 million. While also for secondary education to continue with this program along with high schooler, parents might be concerned about what are they going to do with their middle school children. Well, we could open up a CKC program for middle school students. This also brings in more money to the district considering parents have to pay for this program. We could also use this time to allow our high school students to come in for A+ tutoring hours to help them earn scholarships for college. Also, it's another time that middle school teachers could pull these students individually and help them in their classes, benefiting them educationally. Along with Wednesdays off, it gives teachers an extra day to plan and grade. As a teacher's kid, I know how hard it is for teachers to balance the school life along with their families. By giving them this extra day without kids completely in the classroom to be grading or doing lesson plans, helping our students have a maximized education, they'll get to have more time with families. And I know a lot of you are educationers as well, so I'm sure you would have loved to have more time to spend with your children and watch them grow older. But with this Wednesday off, we could use it as an ACT Lab period. It's a study hall for the students. They are having a day off to catch up on their work. Many students have said having this Wednesday off reduce their late work percentage. And I think that's awesome that students can come forward and say how beneficial this program was to them. With it being an ACT Lab, they get tutoring. It takes away a class in their schedule, leaving them able to take more classes that they'd like to enjoy. They could even take a tutoring elective if they do need more help. Therefore, they're almost getting help every single day, once again, maximizing their education. This day off also gives our students a mental break. Mental health is a serious rise on this generation. And having this extra day, a pause in the middle of the week, just to take a step back and reset and focus yourself on for the rest of the week. And you can go forth and put your best foot forward. Students in Colorado, there's been a study that shows with this 4-day-a-week program, their math test scores actually rose. I know it sounds crazy, not going 5 days a week, but there are definitely many benefits, and there's lots of studies and lots of research undergoing this new program. So I ask that you deeply think about this and listen to our students and teachers that are telling us that maybe this 4-day program, this new change and getting out of normalcy could really benefit our district and help us grow all together. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope, Dr. Codona, you took all of those points down, and between you and Dr. Frigo, this was a very persuasive piece of writing here, and so we'll see how that's taken into consideration. Thank you very much.
Yes, what a great job you did. Very impressed.
We have another speaker.
Yes, two more. We have next up is Stacy Grotius, Rachel Schlipman, and Jackie Ortman.
We stand before you on behalf of a large number of the Fox C-6 family community members, not to speak to our school board members, but to publicly thank Dr. Patel for her dedication, compassion, love, and leadership to our kiddos, our families, and our district. Dr. Patel, over the last few years, we have been extremely fortunate to learn from you what can become of a school district and its community when a true leader is superintendent. You have led us with a genuine heart for what is best for each and every one of our kiddos, teachers, staff, and Fox C-6 families. Throughout your time here, there have been many obstacles to overcome, but you have always communicated with us with full transparency and respect. This, along with your positive attitude and your ability to connect on a personal level with so many of us in the community, has proven your love and compassion for us. You are so much more than an educator and administrator to us. You are a strong, dignified, and intelligent woman who has been our biggest cheerleader. Your encouragement and promise to make sure each of our kiddos leaves with a purpose has not only impacted them, but has impacted us, their parents, and community as well. We are forever grateful for your empowering leadership, your encouragement to use our voices, and the light that shines from your heart to us. We will miss you and never forget what you have left in each and every one of us. Forever, you will be a part of our Fox C-6 family, and we thank you and we love you.
Thank you, ladies. Dr. Gilman, is there one more?
One more, James Schroeder.
Good evening. My name is James Curtis Schroyer. I go by my middle name. I am a resident of Arnold. I live in the Sherwood neighborhood. I have a son who is in the 4th grade, and he is a proud Sherwood chief. And I would also like to note that I am a band director for Fox Middle School and for Fox High School. I wanted to give a brief statement on the budget cuts that are being proposed, especially for the instrumental music budget of 50%, and wanted to let you know what a lifeline and a godsend that those funds are for not only us as the people who logistically run our programs, but for the students who can't afford them. Speaking of my son, he tells me when he's going to middle school band, he wants to play bassoon. Unfortunately, a bassoon is $5,000. And if the school does not have one to give him, I have to tell him no. Right now, my budget is $4,000 and is being proposed to be cut to $2,000. And I do not envy anybody sitting in this room who has to make the decisions of where the money is cut. But I would also like to say that I don't envy myself next fall when I have to look at the students that have to share a Barry sax and say the first 2 inches of mouthpiece, well, you'll get that for your own. But the next 15 feet of tubing that you're going to be using is going to have everyone else's air and spit in it. And in this particular situation, it's happening several times in several of our schools, and it's very concerning. We would love to be able to fix that. Right now what happens is either we get these funds from the school or we wind up getting these funds from a parent-run organization. That's what we have to do to make sure that we have the same type of band that we are proud of, that our community wants to see, that we blow up as posters and put in our most public spaces, like that one right there. I understand that there are very hard decisions to be made. I understand that this district is having financial troubles. And I understand that you guys have very tough decisions, but I plead with you, please find that money somewhere else. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you're staying for the meeting, you'll find out tonight if it's funded or not. We have two versions of the budget, one with the band instruments and one without. And I think the polls have already been taken, and you can smile. So moving on, we have the financial report, 7.1. Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you the familiar graph, and we're now 11 months into the 12-month year, and you see there in May, the gray line for the year 2021 is outpacing every other line in the month of May in that graph. So that is fantastic news for the district. We are still trending above where we have for the last couple years for sure, but it's, as I said, as far as the data here, all the way back to 13-14, it's higher than any other year. We're $3.7 million ahead of a year ago, which is fantastic. Our projections for the remainder of the year, and you, of course, I shared this 2 weeks ago at the meeting, but you know, I was projecting for the budget at that point that we would wind up with about a $17.4 million operating fund balance, and I think that is going to be attainable. I do believe, unless something catastrophic happens in these next 2 weeks, which, you know, we learned a year ago that things can happen quickly, but unless something catastrophic happens here in the next 2 weeks, we should, in this fiscal year, with an operating fund surplus. So, that's good news for the district. We are not out of the woods, and I will continue to caution the board that this is great news, but our work is not done. So that is the financial report that I have for you this evening. Any questions?
Okay, if there are no questions, we're moving on to business items. 8.1, food service bids. Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you the food service bids. We have been doing this on an annual basis. We did look, and we have the opportunity to go to a multi-year with the extensions available at the district's, on the district's wish. And so we put these, I believe it's 6 or 7 items out for bid, or areas of items, these 6 different areas of items out for bid. They were advertised in the Post-Dispatch for 2 weeks. They were on the district website, and they were sent to vendors who had previously bid. You see the recommendations there for awarding the bid for bread to Alpha Bakery, chemicals to Industrial Soap Company, dairy to Prairie Farms. The disposables and supplies would be split out among 4 companies, that being Cole Wholesale, Industrial Soap Company, Daxwell LLC, and Interborough Packaging Corporation. Pizza would go to Pizza Hut, and groceries to, groceries is the only one that we did not bid this year. This is a rollover from last year, and this would continue with Cole Wholesale. So you have the bid summaries attached, and I would just ask the board to approve the food service bids as presented.
Okay, we need a motion to award bids for food service products to be purchased during the 2021-2022 school year from the lowest cost bidders: Alpha Bakery for bread products, Industrial Soap Company for chemicals, Prairie Farms for dairy, Cole Wholesale, Industrial Soap Company, Daxwell LLC, and Interborough Packing Corporation for disposable and supplies, along with Pizza Hut for pizza, and to award the rollover bid to Cole Wholesale for groceries.
Motion to approve the food service bids as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Just a question, real quick. How does that compare to last year? Just curious.
As far as the prices?
Yes.
There's some slight increases across the board. I don't think anything went down, but there's some increases across the board, but I don't think there's anything that increased dramatically.
Okay. I remember Gail saying, because I'm a pizza person, we just got it from Pizza Hut, but what about Domino's? I thought she said she was going to split it.
So the current year, we are split between Domino's and Pizza Hut, and those are the only 2 that submitted bids for the coming year. Pizza Hut was low across the board.
Okay, I thought she said she did like half of it Pizza Hut, half of it Domino's, but.
I think in the split for this year, they had some items that were the same price, the same, and so we were able to split it.
Okay.
But across the board, for the coming year, Pizza Hut was the low bidder.
So Pizza Hut it is. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. We go to 8.2, renewal of workers' compensation insurance. Mr. Stewart.
So you have the renewal for workman's compensation insurance in front of you for the next year, which starts July the 1st. I am happy to report that the premium is going down, and this is the 4th year in a row that it's going down, so that's fantastic. It's going down approximately $40,000 for the year. Our mod factor, which is, it's a big calculation, but the mod factor is kind of what determines what your rates are going to do, and our mod factor is continuing to drop for the coming year. It's going to be 0.79. Last year it was 0.94, so that's fantastic. So the bids, our consultant put the bids out, and you see RAS, First Dakota Indemnity Company, came in with the low bid at $523,462, and that is our current carrier as well. So it's recommended to accept or to approve the proposal from First Dakota Indemnity.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the workers' compensation insurance proposal with First Dakota Indemnity Company for an annual premium of $523,462.
Motion, Chamberlain?
Second, Shalhoub.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. We move on to 8.3, trash and recycle services renewal. Mr. Stewart.
So last year we bid out the trash and recycling services for 3 years. The agreement that you have in front of you is the renewal for year 2 of 3. The pricing in there is all corresponds to what the pricing in the original proposal said it would be for year 2. So it's recommended to approve the renewal with Republic Services for trash and recycling service.
We need a motion to approve the renewal with Republic Services for trash and recycling.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 8.4, approval of banking agreements. Mr. Stewart.
So I left you've got the documents online, but I also left you each a packet of the documents that have the signature page on there, just so you could see the ones online where the draft, these are the final. Our attorneys have reviewed these, and you all approved the banking bid in the month of May, and this is just to get things moving along so we can get accounts open and get signatories on there. So I would just ask that you approve the banking agreements, and those will come out for those of you that will need to be signing, and I think it's just the president, vice president, treasurer, and maybe the secretary in various places. They will come out on DocuSign in the order in which you need to sign. So you will receive an email that has those agreements for your signature.
Thank you. So we need a motion to approve the base bid and alternate bid from oops, sorry about that. I went on to the next item. Motion to approve the banking agreements with J.P. Morgan Chase Bank is presented.
Motion.
Second. Or whoever.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. 8.5, heat exchange unit bids. Mr. Stewart.
So we issued bids for to replace the heat exchange unit in the Fox High School Gymnasium. 3 bids were received. You have the bid sheet there showing the base bid. One of them, there was an alternate that was available in there. There was only one that needed to add that alternate, and that was MC Mechanical, who was the low base bid. They're still the low bid even with the alternate in there, so we're recommending to go with MC Mechanical's bid for the heat exchange unit in the Fox High School gym.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the base bid and alternate bid from MC Mechanical Services for the replacement of the heat exchange unit at Fox High School gym for a total of $19,235 as presented.
I'll second that, and I do have a question, a comment. I'm pretty sure that this is actually a school district contractor. I think this contractor actually is located in our school district. That's
I'm
not
not-
even, no,
I'm not sure, but fantastic if they are.
no, the company is located in our school district.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, we go to 8.6 Memorandum of Understanding with Webster University. Dr. Cardona, I got a little glimpse of this today, and this sounds very exciting for us.
It is, and I just want to first thank John for giving me a chance to speak. So yeah, I'm asking the board to approve this MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with Webster University. So what this is going to allow us to do is to have a child psych examiner, which will be housed at Sherwood. It's kind of like, teachers do their teaching experience and their student teaching. This is kind of her internship at no cost to the district. We just currently do not have a memorandum of understanding with Webster for this. So I'm just asking for your approval so we can get that for next year.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding with Webster University.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. We have 8.7 Go Math Instructional Materials for K through 5 Elementary. Dr. Gilman.
Asking the board to approve this purchase of Go Math books. These will be for the teachers that are not utilizing the pilot materials, and it is in the elementary textbook math budget for this year.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the purchase of Go Math Instructional Materials, K-5 elementary teachers for $86,290.80 from the 2021-22 elementary textbook math budget.
Hanson?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. 9.1 donations. Dr. Patel.
Yes, we'd ask the board to approve a donation of $206 to Seckman Middle School Character Council Program.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the donations to Seckman Middle School as presented. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. 9.2 is budget adjustments for 2020, 2021, and there are two versions. Mr. Stewart.
There's one version for the budget adjustment.
Oh, I'm sorry. This one has one version.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to let Dr. Cardona speak to the budget adjustments if she'd like to.
No, go right ahead. I'm good.
Okay. So you have before you the fourth budget adjustment for the year, and as I state, this is all these are pretty much all but two are related to the sale of bonds and the paying off the old bonds. So we sold $40 million worth of new bonds. We refunded some old bonds, so we sold an additional $7.195 million there, and we paid off some old bonds there. So all these revenues and expenditures, except for the $334 of revenue and expenditures that you see, everything else is related to the bond sale or the expenditures thereof. So it really does not change our ending fund balance in the budget, except by, as far as operating funds go, it doesn't change it at all. The budget will still show about a little over 11% ending fund balance, but as I said before, projecting forward on where we're going to end in a couple weeks, we should be just a little under 15% if we come in at that $17.4 million.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the adjustment to the 2020-2021 budget as presented.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. 9.3, year-end budget adjustment for 2020-2021.
So this is just asking for permission as we come into the end of the year to make budget adjustments as necessary to keep us in alignment with sound practices, and it really allows us to adjust the budget to actual at the end of the year. Several years ago, we had 3 of the funds, I think, that wound up over budget on expenditures, and so that is not pleasing to the auditors. And so this is one of the one of the controls that was put in place was to get a year-end final approval to adjust the budget to actual at the end of the year. I've also included in here the request to authorize 2 different transfers. One, the first is authorizing a transfer from Fund 1 to the self-insurance fund in an amount not to exceed $500,000. I don't think we're going to need it. I think we should wind up being okay as far as cash in the self-insurance fund, but we still got 2 weeks of claims before year end, and you just never know how that's going to go. So we've done this for the last few years. Last year, and I think the year before, we did not have to do that transfer, but it's just given me the authority to do that. And then the other transfer is the transfer of funds from Fund 1 to Fund 4 of $2.8 million. We've discussed this in the budget discussions we've had over the last couple months. The calculation that DESI comes up with, we could transfer up to a little over $5 million. This is 2.8 that I'm requesting to do, and that's what the original budget for this year had in it. So I'm just requesting to transfer the 2.8 as budgeted at the beginning of the year.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the budget adjustment, setting budget to match the 2020-2021 year-end actual revenues and expenditures and authorized transfers of funds as presented.
Second, Shalhoub.
Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
And any opposed? Okay. Are we to version 1 and version 2?
Yes, ma'am.
9.4, budget adoption for 2021-2022. Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you 2 versions of the budget for the coming school year. Version 1 is basically the same budget that we discussed 2 weeks ago. We did go back, and I mean, we were continuously doing some adjusting on the job list and making sure we've got jobs included that need to be and jobs not included that don't need to be, and make sure we've got salaries included at the right level as we hire people when people change positions. So it comes in, so it's that same budget, and then it applies the roughly $1.4 million of budget reductions that we discussed, and all those that we discussed. Version 2 is exactly the same, except it adds back the $17,750 to the Capital Projects Fund for the band instruments. So that is the only difference, and that also then lowers the transfer that goes from the operating fund to the capital project, or increases the transfer from the operating funds to the Capital Projects Fund to fund that $17,750.
So the band instruments are coming out of capital improvements?
If it's a band instrument that costs more than $1,000 and lasts more than a year, yes. So as the gentleman spoke before, if we buy a $5,000 instrument, that comes out of Capital Projects Fund.
Okay, so we're supposed to choose which one we are approving?
Correct.
Version 1 or version 2?
Version 1 and version 2, and literally and I'll speak to version 1 and then just note the difference to version 2. Version 1, we end up in the operating funds with $15.95 million fund balance at the end of the year, which is 13.11%. Version 2, that's changed to $15.93 million, sorry. That's 13.10. So that addition only makes a 0.01% change in the ending fund balance. The net change, or surplus or deficit for operations in version 1 is $1.446 million. That is $1.96 million lower than the budget that was adopted a year ago. So our budget a year ago, we adopted a $3.4 million deficit in operating funds, and this will be a $1.4 million. Debt service fund is coming in just a little bit of a surplus. Capital improvements is budgeted to be neutral, so we're only transferring enough money over to capital projects to keep it from a deficit, and it's not going into a surplus either. You see I have the Fund 41 there, which is the bond proceeds. That throws everything out of whack because we've got the $43 million this year. We're going to start spending it next year. And again, the only difference between version 1 and 2 is the expenditures go up by $17,750 in version 2.
So we need a motion to approve version 1 or version 2 of the 2021-2022 budget as presented. So version 1 is without the instruments and version 2 is with the instruments. So anybody want to make
I'll
that?
move that we adopt version 2.
Okay, motion to approve version 2 of the 2021-2022 budget is presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? Yes.
So, and I mean, I'm for it, don't get me wrong, but if the athletic department came up and asked, would we say yes to that? You know, I love that the band is watching out for that and expressing themselves and their hearts for the children and everything, but I just wondered, you know, what if everybody showed up?
I think, didn't we talk about that we were actually going to be able to adjust the budget as we move forward to most of those things that we cut? Didn't we say that we would probably be able to fund most of that, or did we not?
I think there was some discussion of that. It depends on how we end up choosing to apply some of the ESSER funds that we have. If they, if some of those expenditure items fall into a category that's appropriate, we can do that. Or if we fund something else, we may be able to transfer some budget money over to cover those.
I'd just like to speak to that a little bit too. Generally speaking, the budget that departments get are typically a budget that will accommodate kind of consumable things that they need to get over the course of the year, sheet music, things like that, workbooks in schools. Rarely is that budget designed for them to make major capital purchases. The money is just not there for that. And so it's not unusual. For example, band uniforms would be a good example. There's no way that they could purchase band uniforms out of their annual supply budget. And so typically that requires a special approval for that particular, for those kinds of things. John, if I'm saying something wrong, tell me. Okay.
But with that said, I think it's a good conversation that we might have, April, and I think John shared it with us last summer about how the different activities are, like how much they pay allotted, I guess, for that activity. So it's very interesting when we see that.
I do want to point out also that each department, John, if I'm correct, they have a instructional budget, right? And that's being cut across the board by that 5%, right?
Correct.
Which does include all classes, which would include band as far as their instructional money. This is just instrument money.
Correct.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Okay. We move on to... Okay, all right. 9.5, payment of bills, Group A. Mr. Stewart.
First, I just want to make sure that there was a final vote there. I may have missed it. Okay. Just want to make sure we have a budget for next year.
Vote, yeah. Version 2.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So you have before you the group of bills to be paid for the month of May, and I would just ask that you pay them as presented. There's nothing I'm aware of in there that needs an abstention.
We need a motion to approve Group A bills as presented.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. 10.1 consent agenda items for approval, 10.2 through 10.6. Dr. Bracht.
Yes, we're requesting the board's approval for all attached hires, stipends, modifications, and separations.
Okay, we need a motion to approve consent agenda items 10.2 through 10.6.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, we are to the end.
I'm sorry, I needed to abstain from staff separation.
Staff separations are technically listed on the document as information. They're just included in the consent. Yeah, I mean, the person resigned whether we approve it or not. Yeah.
11.1, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. A second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.